Now that we have built our dado stack, otherwise known as the world's most inedible sandwich, we want to make sure that this machine doesn't accidentally turn on while we're putting this in here. That would be horrifying. So there are two steps that you're going to do. We'll start by getting this out of the way. And the very first thing that you're going to do is you're going to hit the lockout switch. And the lockout switch for the table saw is right down over here. And you just, as you can sort of see, it's on right now. If we flip it down, you'll have the off that's visible. That's an indicator that the table saw is off or unplugged. You can double check to make sure you've done it right by pressing the on button. Okay. As an extra safety, just in case our lockout fails, we're just going to hit the emergency stop, push the mushroom, and you know you've done it right when it doesn't turn on. Now that the power is isolated, we're going to start and we're going to change this blade. When you're changing dado blades, we've made sure that the machine is off, but it's also a good idea just to have your blades on a piece of wood or a piece of cardboard, and that you don't put it directly on the table. You'll scratch and dent up your table. That's just kind of chilling out over here. We'll put that aside for now. Now you're going to take your pinky and you're going to reach into this throat plate, and you're going to lift up that throat plate. Then for this, you're going to take the splitter and you're essentially going to push it. And push the splitter all the way down. It's really important that when you're done cutting that you pull the splitter all the way back up. And to pull the splitter up, it's like you're going to grab it and just pull it up. All right. So splitter goes down. It's very difficult to kind of reach into here, so I'm going to raise the blade up. That allows us to see better too. Then you're going to take a wrench. So my wrench is over here. And you're going to need a piece of scrap wood. Take the piece of scrap wood and just put it right up against a tooth. Take the wrench. And with one hand, I'm going to hold the piece of wood. The other hand, I'm going to hold the wrench, and I'm just going to gently pull down on it. Once it's kind of loosened, you can use your fingers to loosen it. This is a really great tip to make sure you don't lose this nut over here. Take your finger and put it up against this thing, which is called an arbor. And we're just going to rotate it, and it's going to rotate right onto my finger. If you dropped it, then you're going to have to go through all the sawdust to go grab it. Now that I have the ring, put it aside, and then you're going to take the little washer, put it aside as well. Notice how I'm keeping it in the order in which I got it. Take your table saw blade and put this not directly on the table, but on a piece of cardboard or a piece of wood. Put that aside. And now we'll start to stack our dado blades. This is always a great time just to make sure that you've done everything right. Since the machine turns this way, you want to make sure that the teeth are coming down. What you want to avoid, as I mentioned before, is the teeth are now not facing the wood. So we'll put this one in. Then we'll take our chipper. Again, we're building our sandwich. Here's the bacon strip. And again, you want to make sure there's no gap. So this is pretty good. Having it like that gap is bad. So we'll flip that over. There we go, that's nice and flat. Take my next piece, making sure that the chipper is biting down on the wood. There we go. Spacer. Chipper or bacon strip. And then finally, the last piece of bread, the big blade. Make sure that the teeth are facing down. See that this is kind of flopping? That's because you need to give it some space. So rotate it until it becomes flat. So now it's all flat. And if possible, put the washer back. In this case, I don't have very much thread left. So I'm actually, for this operation, I'm going to get rid of the washer. Don't lose it. Take the nut, put it on your pinky, put it back on the arbor. And this is one of the weird things. When you're tightening a nut on the table saw, it is not righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. It is actually lefty-tighty, righty-loosey. So you're going to spin it to the left to tighten it. It's really weird. So now I've got it on the arbor. I'm just going to spin it. I'm going to make my last minute adjustments to my blade. Now that that's tight, just use the wrench. And I'm just going to tighten it a little bit. You don't need to crank super hard on this thing, because when you turn the machine on, the machine will actually take care of it. Lower the blade back in. And you'll notice that your original throat plate isn't going to fit. So you're going to need the throat plate that allows for it to take that slot. So in this case, I'm going to go grab my throat plate. And so here's my throat plate. And essentially, where you can set the height of your blade, and you're essentially ready to cut. When you cut your piece of wood, you will get a 3/4 inch slot, because I built a 3/4 inch blade. When you're done cutting out all your dados, you need to return the table saw back to its usual place. So again, make sure the machine isn't turning on. I've locked it out. Reach in here. You'll pull this up. Take your wrench and your scrap piece of wood. And again, you're pushing the wrench towards you. And now keep your finger on the arbor. Rotate the nut back onto your finger so you don't lose it. It's super important that you put all the pieces back together. So we're going to start. Take our piece of bread that goes back. We'll just put these chippers or bacon strips aside. That goes back over here. Close it up. And super important, don't forget your little cookbook or your dado instruction sheet. Return that back to where you got it from, and you're going to take your table saw blade. This is your standard ripping blade. Make sure the teeth are facing towards you and coming down. Slide that back on. Take the washer, and the washer is up here. Put the nut back onto your finger. That goes back onto the arbor. And again, it's lefty-tighty, righty-loosey. Give it just a little bit of a tighten with a wrench. We'll lower the blade. And this is perhaps the most crucial step. For the next person, you want to pull the splitter that you put down all the way back up. So grab it and pull it up. That needs to be all the way up. Put the throat plate back on top of it. Put the guard back down. And one of the things you want to do is you just want to make sure that you put it in right. The lockout switch. Release the mushroom. Turn the power on. And you set the table saw blade up right. There you go. And that's how you change a table saw blade. Thanks for watching. If you would like to learn how to build a dado stack, please click the link in the description below. Thanks again.